Yes, on this glorious summer's evening, our live action on this Sunday game comes from Croke Park as the All-Ireland hurling champions Offaly put that title and their Leinster crown on the line against Wexford in this provincial hurling semi-final. Yes, the sun shines down beautifully on us here on Croke Park this evening. Good evening to you and welcome for what we anticipate will be a cracking match between Offaly and Wexford. The teams just come out onto the field and this should be a really blistering game to see who will play Kilkenny in this year's Leinster hurling final, because as Kilkenny had a win over Dublin in the previous game here, that was as expected, Kilkenny winning 4-13 to 2-10 in the final analysis. Not one of the classics of our time, I have to tell you. All right, let me introduce our panel to you. Kieran Barr, former Antrim player and of course former Dublin player, is with us here this evening, and so too is Cyril Farrell, the former Galway hurling manager. Gentlemen, you're very welcome indeed. Kieran, just a brief word about what we saw there in that semi-final. Easy win for Kilkenny, really. Yeah,
I think in the first half it was quite competitive, and then I think once they built up a lead, they took the foot off the pedal and relaxed. The level of hurling descended down to a common denominator in the second half. I'd say a common denominator was the standard of hurling that Dublin were playing. And I think a couple of subs came on for Kilkenny because of injuries, and the whole standard dropped and it was very flat. A couple of goals later on by Dublin raised it a bit, but the tempo completely died the last 15-20 minutes.
Kieran, we'll talk to yourself and Cyril about the upcoming match in just a moment, but as I said in the introduction, it is of course the All-Ireland champions Offaly putting that title on the line here this evening after winning the All-Ireland final, of course, in that dramatic and historic win over Limerick last September.
It's going to be Johnny Dooley who will take it. Would he go for a point? I think he's been instructed to do so. He's going for a goal, and he's got it! A goal and 3 points! That's exactly what Offaly require, and what the game has needed. It puts a completely different complexion on this game. Look as he composed himself, drilled it in, mercilessly beyond the wall of defenders, and away to the far corner. So just 2 points between the teams. Look at the number of players they had back on the line defending, and straight between Kieran Carey and Dave Clark. Offaly now feeling that they can turn the tide. Pat O'Connor's in, it's another one, it's another goal. Pat O'Connor has got it. Offaly are in front by a point.
That's the one that did it for Offaly. Limerick, of course, shattered by that. Who knows, maybe later on in the summer Limerick might have a chance of gaining revenge for that. There's a lot of work to be done between this and then, however. Going back again to our panel, to Kieran Barr and to Cyril Farrell. Cyril, this game that we're looking forward to should be a different kettle of fish altogether to the semi-final just gone by.
Yeah, well, I think, Michael, the semi-final, everyone would expect Kilkenny to win it well. The difference really was there was a skill level factor. But here today, now that you're going to have a thrilling game, both teams have fenced themselves. Offaly are All-Ireland champions, and Wexford believe that this is their year. They're a very quiet kind of a build-up, but on their day they can be very hot.
Well, that Wexford team that you're talking about, Cyril, are just coming out onto the field right now. Interesting thing, I suppose, in both camps in the lead up to this, there's been sort of behind the scenes problem. Often they've had a few problems. Then, of course, during the week, there's all this business about the Wexford captaincy. Now, that can't help.
Well, it's not the ideal preparation, but after saying that, it could actually work in the reverse for Wexford, because when there's a terrible lot expected of them in the last few years, they haven't really delivered on the day. Now today, there's been that talk about the captaincy, but I can't. Liam Dunn and Tomas Dunn and these fellas, they'll play out with their skins for Wexford, irrespective of who's captain. Now, Offaly last year, and again this year, Michael, the training hasn't been kind of really flying, but they're doing it on the day that counts, so they'll have it all to play for here this evening.
Sir, you're in a different province to Offaly, but nonetheless, of course, Galway and Offaly are next door neighbours, so you will be well familiar indeed with some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes. Some of the players not sort of satisfied with the setup this year, and they believe Eamon Cregan's been just pushing them too hard.
Well, that's the way it was a lot of players, Michael, but like if you were over a team, say you're going to push, and Eamon wants to retain a title, but last year they had problems as well in training, you had to come out in the pitch. I watched them about 2 weeks ago training, and they weren't really buzzing, but like they are very economical in their play, and any chances you usually get on the pitch they'd score.
Well, Eamon Cregan has led this team to a Leinster title and to an All-Ireland title, but for Wexford there's a new manager in place this year. That's Liam Griffin. Now, a short time ago, Tony O'Donoghue spoke to both men.
We are All-Ireland champions, but so far we haven't done anything very impressive since winning the All-Ireland final. We barely scraped out of the second division, and we're in the first division for the first time in a long time, but haven't been impressive.
What about your preparation for this game? Are you happy with that? Obviously not.
No, I'm not happy with it. We've had a lot of injuries. We've had 3 rounds of the championship played already in Offaly, and in those 6 of our players got injured. So our players aren't fully fit. There are 3 players not playing: Rigney, Timmy Dooley, and Joe Arity, or Billy Dooley and Joe Arity. So we're going to do the best we can with what we've got.
You're surprisingly unconfident. It's not like you.
I'm not unconfident, but I every match, no matter who you play against, you have to give them respect. And Wexford are out here today. They're going out to, they could strike a brilliant day today, and we could be in trouble. But we've got to go out. We've got to do our best, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Naturally, we are hoping to get something out of it. We're up against it with the All-Ireland champions. We know that, but that's not worrying us at all. We're going to have a right good go, and well, let's see what will happen on the day. I think we can do well. If we've taken a gamble, if it comes off, I think we can cause an upset.
What about the difficulty in Wexford during the week with the Oiler Ballet incident?
Storm in a teacup for sure. A lot of sensitivities with some officials and various people at the management, but it's over as far as I'm concerned, and I think that's the way it should be. This was just a minor incident at the end of the day. I know it's serious for the club, but we were left with no choice. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry that it should have arisen, but that's life.
And Liam Dunn in the dressing room, he's quite happy not to be captain today.
Liam Dunn.
Yes, that's Liam Griffin, the Wexford manager. I've been talking to Liam a couple of times in the last few weeks. I must say I'm very impressed with him. A straight talking man, and well, I believe he could do good things for Wexford hurling. Will the beginning be today? Well, that remains to be seen. Now, elsewhere in the championship, turning briefly to football and to Ulster. My goodness, it's been another day in the Ulster Football Championship. Today it was Tyrone against Derry. Derry were the hot favourites, as other teams have been before in Ulster. Tyrone beat them by a point.
McGarity. Tyrone are finding it easier to find white jerseys at the moment. Paul Devlin. Well kept in by Lawn. Lawn forced to go to Lone. Gives it back to Gormley. Gormley has a chance. And Tyrone go into the lead. Jeffrey McGonigal. Gary Coleman. Tries to force it through. Jeffrey McGonigal. McGonigal's possession. He's going to go to Lone. Off the post it comes, and Gormley can't get it. A letter for Tyrone. Damien Cassidy. Eamon Burns. Will this be an equaliser? Burns taps it into the chest of Finbar McConnell. Just a little bit of inexperience. And Derry's hopes certainly seem to be disappearing. The game is over. The first Leinster Semi Final has been decided. The 13 men of Tyrone have overcome the challenge of Derry.
Yes, Derry, the hottest property in the championship this year. They're gone, as or down, and Donegal before them. And my goodness, what an Ulster championship is turning out to be. On that note, let's take a full check on the day's results in Gaelic games. You can see in that replay between Laois and Carlow, a win for Laois, and a crucial goal scored in that match. They were level at half-time. Down south in the Munster Championship, my goodness, what a scoreline there between Kerry and Tipperary. 7-12 to Tipperary's 1-13, and Kerry had scored 5 goals in something like 10-15 minutes of the first half in that match. Cork also having a good win over Clare down in Portwee Keeve, so things not working out for Clare down there. Confirmation of Derry and Tyrone there. And Mayo are winners in the West. They've beaten Roscommon by a scoreline of 2-11 to 1-10, and so it's a Mayo-Galway Connacht final. That game will be played in Tuam. Now, confirmation of the results of the matches played earlier on here today at Croke Park. That's Kilkenny against Dublin, 4-13 to 2-10. Dublin winning that. And in the All-Ireland Hurling B Championship, a win for London against New York, 5-7 to 5-12, 4-12. That should be the final score there. 2-point win for London. That's it then. It's Offaly versus Wexford coming up after this commercial break. Can I talk to them down there?
Everybody knows that milk's for babies, so charming, disarming, whatever they do. Everybody knows that milk's for babies, and when you know it, baby, milk's for you. Soft baby skin, strong baby bones, bright baby smile, and ooh, great muscle tone. Wouldn't you know it, baby, milk's for you. It's a health kick, baby.
Feeling is believing. Take any Philly shave on 2 months trial.
Let the colors of crown paint light on me. Shine a light. Don't just paint it, crown it.
Tricity and Bendix fridge freezers, washing machines and electric cookers. You'll find the right ingredients for a great kitchen at Power World, Tume Road, Galway.
Be humane to your pets. A programme pill once a month stops fleas from breeding. Consult your vet or chemist. Programme from SIBA. Ruff!
Together, home and car insurance costs less at PMPA. Phone or call direct to your local PMPA branch.
See how Castrol motor oil reaches every moving part of your car's engine faster. Now, see it at normal speed. Insist on Castrol.
With more features as standard, the Mitsubishi Lancer.
Head for a weekend of racing excitement. The Budweiser Irish Derby, Sunday, July 2nd at the Curragh.
If you're looking for a bite that's as big as a bus, all you need filling up, you can take it from us.
You want more of. It's got biscuit, caramel, all covered in Cadbury's Dairy Milk chocolate.
You've got friends to see, you've got things to do, and only one bar is gonna satisfy you.
You want more of.
Play Lotto. Who knows? It could be you.
Welcome back to Croke Park. The cheer of the crowd goes up for Offaly versus Wexford live here on the Sunday game of the Leinster Hurling Championship Semi Final. Let's join our commentary team of Ger Canning and Tomás Mulcahy.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Yes, the Leinster Championship is now down to just 3 teams. Kilkenny through to the final. Will it be Offaly? Will it be Wexford? Offaly making just 3 changes in the team that won the All-Ireland, as Offaly won the toss and they played from right to left in the first half. And here we're expecting a much, much better game than we had in the opening bill of fare here, which was the first of the semi-finals. That's swept out of defence there by Liam Dunn, who lost the captaincy because of well-documented reasons during the week, although on the programme he's down as Liam Dunn, captain. First bit of business for David Hughes to deal with. Played, of course, against Wexford in last year's Leinster Final. The race for possession here. John Troy looking sharp. Awfully concerned, as you heard beforehand, about the preparation going into this. But Wexford have also had a lot of local club matches. Here's George O'Connor, today's team captain, outside to Sean Flood. The target there was Paul Codd against Martin Hannamy. He gave Hannamy quite a bit of trouble in the league when they met last. That was back in March. Shane McGuckin here, forced into difficulty. Once again, Liam Dunn whipping on it. Larry Murphy coming well out from his corner forward position. Indeed, only Billy Byrne is left inside. John O'Connor, the fullback, fumbling the first one, needing the assistance here of Tomás Dunn. Fouled, free out to Wexford. And Tomás Mulcahy, what are your expectations here of this particular semi-final?
It's a hard match to call, Ger. Basically, I suppose Wexford, if they're going to win this game, will be looking for big performances from George O'Connor, the likes of John O'Connor, maybe Martin Story and Tom Dempsey up front. On the other side, Brian Whelan going in at number 6. John Trice centre forward, will be looking for big performances from them as well.
That's a big one inside there towards Billy Byrne. Looks for the opening score. Inside instead towards Larry Murphy. And David Hughes called into action for the second time, skipping away from the would-be challenge. That'll settle down the goalkeeper, who's in there, of course, in place of Jim Troy, one of the 3 changes. Good ball back in there again. Brian Whelan under pressure, the centre half back, popping his own end line. Out there by Joe Dooley. Johnny Pilkington just to the left. So a bright start by both teams, but no score so far after about 2.5 minutes play. Damien Fitzhenry, 3rd year playing in the Senior Championship. Just about won there by PJ Martin, but gathered up here by Paul Codd. Nice ball inside for Tom Dempsey, who floats over the opening point of the match to settle down his team. Tom from Buffer's Alley. The flags flying proudly for the Slaney Siders. Well, they've been one of the great enigmas, I suppose, in senior hurling over the last 10 years in particular. You've got to go all the way back to 1977 for their last Leinster Championship win. George O'Connor misses that one. Gathered instead by Colm Keogh. Dispossessed by Johnny Pilkington. Great piece of stealing there. Back to Dáithí Regan on his left-hand side. Fired in, missed by Declan Pilkington, but it's Brendan Kelly who has it. Kelly the full forward, looking for parity. Difficult one for Damien Fitzhenry. That could so easily have crawled inside. And it's going to be a 65, the umpire decides. Well, you certainly gather by the voices and the demeanour of the Wexford players, notably goalkeeper Damien Fitzhenry, they felt it should have been a puck out. So Johnny Dooley, on a very hot evening here in Croke Park, as it has been, I'm sure, all over the country. Expectations certainly of a very evenly balanced match here. A real kind of championship tie. Johnny Dooley knocking it in with effortless ease, the first 65 of the match, and he levels up the game. So a point apiece. This the style of a great free taker. Johnny Dooley got 10 points against Wexford in their last meeting in March, and he hit 9 in last year's Leinster Final. David Hughes in just his 2nd Leinster Championship match. Dáithí Regan makes a great catch. Trying to get away there from Robert Hassey. Good vision outside. Oh, but just a little fumble at the most inappropriate moment. Michael Dignan was trying to catch. So another 65 going off the fingertips there of Tomás Dunn, part of the Oulart the Bala contingent. This time not quite so central for Johnny Dooley. So a point apiece and a chance here for Offaly to go in front. Looks good. Another point at 65 by Johnny Dooley, underlining once again the value of a tried and trusted free taker.
That's probably his 2nd touch in the game so far, and it's 2 points, and he could have a big influence in this game before it's finished.
Well, whether it's from the centre or out towards the right, he's absolutely deadly, measured to perfection. Back live with the action. This is Tom Dempsey, going this way and that. That's going right, however. Well, whatever about their hampered preparations, Offaly, they are so difficult to beat here in Croke Park.
Yes, sure, they use possession very well, and the difference there now between Offaly and the attack and Wexford, I mean, Wexford have had 2 or 3 bad wides at the start of the game, and they could rue those misses by the end of the game.
Broken down by Johnny Pilkington. Waiting for it is PJ Martin. Martin Hannamy, determined to try and bottle up Paul Coll if at all possible. That's Paul Finn. Out to Liam Dunn. Threading the hand pass through to Martin Storey. This to put the sides level, but it goes away to the left. Wasted possession. 3 wides now for Wexford, just 1 for Offaly. Crowd certainly enjoying this very pleasant evening. At times you felt it was almost too hot for the players in the previous match. Before that again we had a Senior B Championship match which London won by 2 points against New York. Touchdown by George O'Connor. Paul Finn up into the corner. Larry Murphy has already decided to discard the helmet. And that indeed may be caused by the intense heat today. So it'll be a sideline ball for Wexford, and Martin Storey goes across to take it. Didn't play in Tuesday night's league match. And that's gone sailing to the left. Oh, difficult to measure it from this angle here.
Great effort by Martin Storey, but again you question, I mean, hitting a sideline ball wide from that angle, you're giving the goalkeeper a free puck down the field again, and at this stage of the game maybe Wexford should be bringing the full forward line more into play.
It's certainly going to be very curious to see how the normally very strong Offaly half-back line cope with Wexford's half-forward line, Tom Dempsey and Martin Storey in particular. Here's Dempsey against Brian Wheelahan. That'll be a sideline ball for Offaly. PJ Martin whipping it in there. The flight path of the ball followed the whole time by Liam Dunn. Now switching it into the inside forward line for once. Billy Byrne avails of the chance, takes the point, and the sides are level once more. Well, that I think is what my guest commentator tonight, Tomas Mulcahy, was saying they should be trying to do. Quality ball inside, and it's 2 points each.
Yes, sir, I think you have to give great credit to Liam Dunn in this situation. He hit a great ball into Billy Byrne and he just turned and hit her over the bar. Great score by Wexford.
The half-back line for Wexford under a bit of pressure here. Robert Hassey places Larry O'Gorman. Sean Flood put under some pressure. John O'Connor likewise, the hand pass in there. Reaches Joe Dooley, looking to re-establish Offaly's 1 point lead. He's always good for a few points, one of the senior men on the Offaly team. Just 2 Dooleys in the side tonight. 3 points to 2 the position. Liam Dunn coming back. That's John Troy on the 40. Good alert corner back play by Tomas Dunn, but he's bottled up and it's back with Troy once again, looking for another score, and helped over the bar by Damien Fitzhenry. Fitzhenry making sure that he didn't concede a goal or tap it down for an incoming forward. So now Offaly by double scores. Well, Offaly play a simple yet very effective game. Rory McCarthy over there contesting with a trimmer looking Daithí Regan than we've seen for some time. George O'Connor not standing on ceremony. Good ball forward. The hand pass into space. Rory McCarthy trying to knock it on for Tom Dempsey. Just overhit, however. PJ Martin coming out for it, getting the assistance of his brother Kevin, the all-star wing-back. That's Johnny Dooley. Trying to pick out Declan Pilkington in the corner. Over there minding the house is Colm Keogh. Stalemate broken up here by Sean Flood. Knew he was about to be hooked by Joe Dooley. Did enough and then whipped it forward towards Larry Murphy. Over there is Shane McGuckin. Well, a lot of kicking in the last minute or so. Sunlight into the eyes of the Wexford mentors and substitutes this evening. Wexford sideline ball. Well, they had a little consultation as to who should hit this one. It's entrusted to Rory McCarthy. Rory is a St. Martin's player, same as George and John O'Connor. That's just about 4 miles outside Wexford town. Delivered inside. Won by Brian Wheelahan. This exciting young player down towards John Troy. Added to well. Robert Hassey gifts that one to Joe Dooley. Inside towards Brendan Kelly with John O'Connor. And indications early on that John O'Connor could have his problems at fullback. It's something of a new position for him. Again, the pressure back on the Wexford backs. Declan Pilkington heard a call from his brother Johnny. Not a good shot, but goes into Declan Pilkington. Tight angle, and he's put it wide. Perhaps the angle was just a little bit too acute. But a good bit of understanding between the Pilkington brothers. Early indications of a bit of nervousness by both teams. Fitzhenry's puck out. The uncertainty broken up here with Shane McGuckin claiming possession. He's fouled. Held back. Referee tonight, incidentally, Eildon Moxivna of La Clia. McGuckin, part of the St. Rina's contingent from Banagher in Offaly. Same club as David Hughes here. George O'Connor under the dropping ball was John Troy, who got a little nudge on it. Out to Joe Dooley, that's going right. So a game which has yet really to settle down and to provide the real excitement that we've come here to expect. Good connection from Damien Fitzhenry. Deep into the inside forward line. Paul Codd. Well, he hit it instinctively, but also inaccurately. The wide so far, 8. 5 of them going to Wexford. Once again, the puck out aimed down towards John Troy, with a leap in the air by George O'Connor, diffusing the possible danger. Kevin Martin into John Troy once again. He kept the ball moving inside towards Michael Duignan. Well, Sean Flood reading the intentions of the signals well. Joe Dooley had just pushed ahead too far. Here's Johnny Pilkington. Michael Duignan on the 45-metre line, going by the cover of Tomas Dunn. This is dangerous, and he's put it over the bar. Good individual score by Michael Duignan, his first of the match. Duignan doing well in the run that time, and it's 5 points to 2.
Great score there again from Offaly, and you can see the Offaly forwards are moving at great pace again, and great play again by Johnny Pilkington in the midfield.
Ball is broken down there by the wing forward Rory McCarthy. Touched outside there to Martin Storey, and that again has gone wide. I don't think the Leinster Council will need the video evidence to see that that was well and truly outside the post. Eamon Cregan in consultation with his selectors, including Joachim Kelly.
Something Wexford will have to improve on, Ger, before this game is out. They seem to be hitting an awful lot of ball wide.
They have been perennial underachievers. Heaven help their poor followers down the years. They put in one good performance and then struggled to put in a second consecutive performance of similar fashion. They have a free kick. Or sorry, a free. with the hurley. And Liam Dunn the taker. Picked up by Tom Dempsey. Turning on his right-hand side. Needs to be good, and is. Second point for Tom Dempsey. Maybe an intriguing enough contest between Tom Dempsey and Brian Wheelahan, who's played so much of his hurling at wing-back. So just 2 between them. It's been quite a long while since Wexford got the measure of Offaly in a championship match. And here's Larry Murphy, one of the newer players. Oh, there was a glorious chance there for Billy Byrne. Just took his eye off it and couldn't contain it inside, and it's gone for a 65. Larry Murphy rather provided the ball inside here for Billy Byrne, and he let it drop down. Should have been in the back of the net, you feel?
Yes, great chance for Wexford.
Liam Dunn to take the resultant 65. Lobbed in towards Billy Byrne to make amends. He made a good contact with it. Something of a lost start, the overhead pull like that. Billy Byrne's second point, and just 1 between them. So just about 18 minutes gone in the first half. Player picking himself off the ground is Paul Finn. Player came on as a sub for the last 12 minutes against Westmeath. Liam Dunn inside his own 65-metre line. Dropped in dangerously and over the bar. Liam Dunn will take the credit, I think, for that. So the referee's gone in.
Yes, sir, I think the referee's given a free out for a square ball.
Certainly has. So it remains 5 points to 4. Eadon Maksivna ruling out that point by Liam Dunn. Here it is again. Keep an eye then on Billy Byrne. Perhaps inside in the square before it came in. Yes, he was well in there.
He's well in the square job, but you must question whether he had any kind of influence on the ball at that stage.
Here's Dunn again. Striving to make amends. Looking for the point. Good save by David Hughes. Looking over his left shoulder. Down towards Johnny Pilkington. Added to well. The game now building up in tempo. It's generating a bit more heat. Players warming to the occasion. Line ball to Offaly. And Johnny Pilkington in no particular hurry.
Johnny Pilkington and Liam Dunn certainly having a great tussle between themselves in midfield.
So far, just about even Stephen in that particular department. Stopped by George O'Connor. He drops it. Brother John comes to his assistance, and he's left it there. Brendan Kelly and John Troy trying to make something of it. Still John Troy in the shadow of the Hogan stand. Back to Johnny Pilkington, and he opens up the broad shoulders and puts it over the bar. The team captain with his first point of the day. So 2 between them once more. Puck out taken very quickly indeed, trying to put some pressure there on Kevin Martin and his fellow backs. It'll be a free to Offaly. And as usual this afternoon, we have some sideline news from Tony O'Donoghue. Tony.
The Wexford bench, Ger, and Paul Cott has switched with Rory McCarthy on the Wexford team, so he's gone to left half forward and McCarthy in at right corner forward. But the main news from ground level here is the heat. It's desperately hot here, and both benches are anxious that water is passed onto the pitch as often as possible, because the sun right in the eyes of the players on this side of the field, and they want water in as quickly as possible to both sides.
Thank you, Tony. Little nick there into the head of John Troy. Liam Griffin, the Wexford manager, taking his drop of water as well. But it's the players who need it. Dáithí Regan will be the sideline taker. Inside towards John Troy. Player pushed off, it is Paul Finn. Free to Wexford. Certainly players, as Tony suggested, visibly suffering weariness and tiredness because of the elements today. Referee is back once again. Eamon Cregan looking a bit bemused. Just waiting for the slitter to come back. So Tomas down to hit it. On a perfect but very hard surface here at Croke Park. Offaly leading by 2 points. Midway through this first half, a fumble by Kevin Kinahan. Ball comes out towards Paul Codd, and he's put it wide. That's now 7 wides for Wexford. Far too many.
Far too many, definitely, Ger. And certainly the heat is going to have a big impact in this game as well. As we've seen in the previous match, players got very, very tired towards the end. And even though it is late in the evening, the sun is still shining very strongly here.
Dáithí Regan over there. A muscular confrontation with Paul Finn. Brendan Kelly out quickly, but he's adjudged to have chopped down on John O'Connor. Pleads his case to no avail. It'll be a free to Wexford. John O'Connor will be the taker. Also the long-range free taker of this side, taking up the berth vacated by Ger Cush at full-back. And now that facial injury which John Troy picked up, being attended to by the Offaly doctor, Brendan Lee. At one stage, John Troy might well have been an option for goalkeeper like his brother Jim, but he played there very successfully at minor level. But then at club level, he turned in to a forward and followed into the inter-county senior team as well with great success. Been a lot of concern about facial injuries in top matches and club matches this year. It hasn't been a great year, and you have to question once again why some players, even as young as John Troy, don't wear a helmet. Mind you never wore a helmet.
No, I never wore a helmet, Ger. And obviously maybe the GA could look at a situation where maybe he'd go off the field for a couple of moments and maybe be replaced by somebody, you know. Just sad to see somebody with blood rolling down their face on the field.
John O'Connor the taker. Blocked down just about by Brian Wheelahan. Kevin Martin in some trouble as well. And here come Wexford in the shape here of Paul Codd, looking for the score. And the umpire once again waving it wide. The umpire's wisely going back when the action develops to get a really good angle on the shot and be absolutely certain about the decision.
Again, great possession by Wexford, and Paul Codd had a great opportunity there to hand pass the ball aside to Larry Murphy, who was in much better position than himself to score.
Well, time and again we've lost the slitter, and surprisingly enough there isn't a great selection of balls waiting behind each goal to try and keep the momentum of the game going. David Hughes with his latest puck out. Little to choose between the teams. Offaly availing of their chances that little bit more. Martin Storey taken back by Brian Wheelahan. Brendan Kelly turned around well. John Troy going for his score, hit well between the posts, and a point for John Troy, his second. And that probably underlines once again the real difference between these two teams. Offaly so adept at taking their chances, 7 so far. Wexford, profligate, just 4.
Yes, again, and great credit again to Brendan Kelly. Run a great ball out in the middle of the field there, and found a man in freedom again, and it was a great score by John Troy.
So far, 4 of the Offaly forwards have scored. Here's Martin Storey. One he'd expect to put between the posts, and does, his first point. Keeping his side well in touch in a game that hasn't produced any goals so far, but 12 points, 7 for Offaly. A switch on the half-back line for Offaly shows Brian Wheelahan going to right half-back and Kevin Martin into the centre. Kevin Martin marking Tom Dempsey. John Troy putting the head down, expecting it to come his way, which it does. Low into the corner towards Michael Duignan. Duignan against Tomas Dunn. The shot from Duignan, and that's between the posts again. Very accurate shooting. A second point for Michael Duignan. And it could well be that Offaly are thinking about an early change here. Early as in the 28th minute. So, let's see who's going to make way. Michael Duignan has made it 8 points to 5. PJ Martin seems to be the one who's about to make way, and has done so. And the player who's come in his place is Gary Cahill of Birr. Gary, who starred in the club championship against Dunloy in the finals here back in March, coming in to try and steady this Offaly defence. The clearance by Brian Wheelahan to midfield towards Johnny Dooley. George O'Connor in some trouble. Here's John O'Connor. John still coming to terms with his new role at full back. Ball out of defence there by Robert Hassey. Brian Wheelahan without a stick. Gary Cahill going back to try and clear the lines, but running into one of the corner flags. That's going to be a Wexford ball. Wexford are trailed by 3 points. So it's going to be, once again, Martin Storey in front of an attendance of 17,093. Many of them, I'm sure, have gone to the beaches and perhaps are watching this on TV this evening. And Martin Storey has put it wide. So many wasted chances now, 9 wides by Wexford. And you can be absolutely certain that Liam Griffin will have some hard words to say at half-time, which is now just over 5 minutes away. Confirmation then that Gary Cahill has replaced PJ Martin.
And that has been the big difference between the teams so far, Gerard. Every time Offaly went up the field, they looked like scoring.
This is once again broken up here by Colm Keogh. Wexford's free. I think they're a bit disappointed with the fare on offer so far. Liam Dunn will hit this. Dropped in towards Billy Byrne. Runs on to David Hughes. Out towards Johnny Pilkington. Just touched it on for himself. Beat 2 Wexford men. Wrong footing Declan Pilkington, his brother, however, and it's George O'Connor who gets it. Swept back into the centre. Rory McCarthy in there, fouling Dáithí Regan. Chopping down. The free to be taken by Brian Wheelahan from inside his own 65-metre line. Again, George O'Connor rises up for it. Fumbled down, however. Rory McCarthy. Chance now to just measure his pass inside towards Martin Storey. Runs on instead. Martin Hanamy back there, clearing his corner to Dáithí Regan. Pressure back on the Wexford backs. Michael Duignan and Brendan Kelly both going across for the same ball. Space opening up now for Michael Duignan. Awkward enough angle. Comes back off the post. Tomas Dunn with the clearance. That's a bad one. Across to Declan Pilkington, who fumbled. Sean Flood just trying to unsettle him somewhat. Across towards Brendan Kelly. Awkward enough angle. Tomas Dunn again trying to close him down somehow. The full forward, adventurously away from his full forward position. Back to Johnny Dooley, scorer of those great 65s earlier on. But from play here, he's put it to the left. But just the fourth wide for Offaly, for a man who is just back from his honeymoon. The race for possession here. Quick off the blocks was Martin Storey. Inside towards Billy Byrne. The wides just mounting up now against Wexford with just 3 minutes to go to half-time. And once again we've got some sideline news from Tony O'Donoghue.
Yes, from the Offaly sideline this time, and Declan Pilkington is coming off the field to be replaced by Pat O'Connor.
Well, he got, of course, one of the late goals to win the title last September. Declan Pilkington didn't really impress in the opening 35 minutes. So off he goes, and on comes Pat O'Connor. Well, certainly Offaly have not been slow about making changes. 2 subs in the opening 33 minutes.
Certainly, the management have acted very fastly, and even though they're 3 points ahead, they've made 2 substitutions already.
Here's Johnny Dooley, and that's a much better one. A really accurate shot by Johnny Dooley to go with the 265s earlier on. Keeping Offaly noses ahead the whole time. And you get this irritating feeling nonetheless that if Wexford could only settle down and not be so nervy in their finishing, that they could well be in front at this stage.
You did right there, Gerald. Wexford has just as much possession as Offaly had in this game, but find themselves 4 points down at this stage.
Colm Keogh put under pressure by Pat O'Connor. Just gets it out, but only as far as the waiting Joe Dooley. John O'Connor breaks it down. That's the fullback. Here's to Pat O'Connor, and that's over the bar. In critical positions in the Wexford defence, you do not sense that they have the players right now who are in the right positions to give them that kind of calmness and soundness that they really do need. This once again, where Wexford were in a real dither, and that was put over the bar. Daithí Regan. Added to by John Troy. Michael Duignan not making much headway. Here's Johnny Dooley, however. Another shot, another point. Johnny Dooley with 4 points, 2 of them from play, and really his marker Robert Hassey will have to be much, much tighter. They've suddenly opened up a 6-point gap, which really is ominous.
Okay, again, great score again by Johnny Dooley, but again, you must give great credit to John Troy. He's never allowed George O'Connor into this game, and it was a great ground stroke that put Johnny truly through at that stage.
Well, surely Wexford will be thinking in terms of substitutions. The men shoring the middle for them are the O'Connor brothers. Martin Storey. An option in the past would have been to bring George into midfield to try and give them an extra edge there. George, now 35 years of age, with over a dozen seasons at senior level behind him. And from his point of view, it hasn't been a great dozen years. He's been on a Leinster losing final team on 6 occasions. Liam Dunn. And that's off the post. It's been a miserable half for Wexford. Their finishing has been wretched. 11 wides against just 4 for Offaly. Cross towards Johnny Dooley's side once more. Getting too much latitude from Robert Hassey. Now they're missing Larry O'Gorman, and there's the knock in the arm. The chop down on Johnny Dooley. Very painful indeed. Hassey had a reputation for something of a fiery character. He's calmed down a little bit in recent times. Made his debut against Carlow, I think, last year, and lasted just 8 minutes before being sent off. And this is where, in frustration, he chopped down on Johnny Dooley. The match into injury time. No goals to date. 11 points to 5. And here's some further target practice for a very cool, calm Johnny Dooley. That's his 5th point. We were saying that he's notched up 10 and 9 in recent meetings, and he's well on course for another field day. The referee signals the final piece of action of a first half that hasn't really excited the imagination as we hoped it might. But Johnny Dooley has done his business well. He settled down Offaly with 2 good 65s, tagged on 3 points from play after that. And at half-time, Wexford have a lot to do. They've got to improve their shooting. They've got to improve their coordination. They trail by 7 points. It's Offaly 12, Wexford 5.
Everybody knows that milk's for babies, so charming, disarming, whatever they do. Everybody knows that milk's for babies, and wouldn't you know it, baby, milk's for you. Soft baby skin, strong baby bones, bright baby smile, and ooh, great muscle tone. Wouldn't you know it, baby, milk's for you. It's a health kick, baby.
Create your own dream home with a prize worth £24,000 from 2FM and the Sunday World. One lucky person will win this fabulous prize, which consists of £8,000 cash from National Irish Bank, an £8,000 Norman Pratt Conservatory, an £8,000 ORM kitchen. For details on how to enter, tune into 2FM or see this Sunday's Sunday World.
If it has to be there, it has to be DHL.
See how Castrol Motor Oil reaches every moving part of your car's engine faster. Now, see it at normal speed. Insist on Castrol.
It's clear. It's revolutionary. It's new Right Guard with double protection clear gel. You can't work as hard as Right Guard.
From the best-selling novel by the author of Jurassic Park.
What was that?
Enter a world where man is the endangered species.
I never saw any animal move like this.
Congo at cinemas everywhere from June 30th.
It's easy to see why more and more people are choosing the McChicken Sandwich Extra Value Meal at McDonald's. Extra value meals just $2.95 at McDonald's restaurants nationwide.
No.
Let's put a flake in this break.
When you're gasping, asking for a break,
And no chocolate, like the taste of Cadbury's flake. Delicious flake fingers, crispy wafer, all covered in Cadbury's milk chocolate.
that makes a time out.
Just take a time out. No matter what you're doing, yeah.
Put a flake in your brain.
Cadbury's time out.
You can make that dream so real. One can talk about being in love. You can see how it really feels. One can wish upon a star. Two can make that wish come true, yeah. One can stand alone in the dark. Two can make the light shine through. It takes two, baby.
Welcome back again to Croke Park. So at half-time in this Leinster Hurling Semi-Final between Offaly and Wexford. Offaly leading on a score of 11 points to 5, and really this game has not sparked into life. Now, I've been watching that match in the first half with my panellist Kieran Barr and also Cyril Farrell, who has joined us. Kieran, as I just said there, it really hasn't taken off. I mean, there hasn't been a great deal in it between the sides, but it hasn't fired into life exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like maybe a factor that maybe some of the players will consider that it's late in the evening, and that might be a contributing factor. But I think Wexford have basically hit wides from scoreable chances. Not wides that players were under a terrible lot of pressure, but wides when they took chances when they should have maybe either passed the ball or made better use of the possession that they had. And that's the difference between the two teams. I think Wexford can look at themselves and say, yeah, we're dominating several sections of the pitch and yet we're not on top. And Offaly are probably saying to themselves in the dressing rooms, how are we so far ahead here? Like we have a scrappy ball, but any ball that we've got, we've used. We've put it to a player in a good position. We've tried to work the ball into the middle of the pitch, and when a shot is taken, it's a high percentage shot, one that you can score from and not one out on the sideline.
Certainly a 7-point deficit in hurling isn't a great deal, but you have to look at this Wexford side and start to say to yourself, how are they going to claw that around the way they're playing at the moment?
Well, they are winning quite a lot of ball out the field, and they definitely have worked on their puck outs. Like Fitzhenry's fine if has a puck outs. It's the delivery of the ball from there and they're going a bit long. Now you'll find there is a nice little breeze out there that against the breeze that ball will shorten a bit and it'll suit the inside forward line of say young Cod, Billy Byrne, Larry Murphy. Now they've switched in Rory McCarthy, Paul Cod has come out, but like if Billy Byrne gets high ball dropping in there, they'll be quite dangerous. What Wexford really need is a goal. Often they've been very, very economical, and Johnny Dooley in particular, any chance they've had the nearly score, it's 11 wides to 4, but Wexford have a terrible lot of play if they can just get a few scores on the scoreboard.
In a way though, Kieran, having that amount of play and being 7 points behind is even more frustrating than if you were a point or two behind and haven't half the play.
Yeah, it's more frustrating for the full forwards because the full forwards are standing there and they've done nothing wrong, and yet people down in Wexford or everywhere else were saying, well, why aren't the forwards scoring? It's got nothing to do with them. The ball that they're getting is going straight over their head and wide, or it's going over the sideline and they're taking sideline cuts and hitting those wide. So they're not being given a chance or an opportunity. I think in the previous match we saw Kilkenny guys, when they were under pressure, playing the ball across the field in front of their forwards. Now it gives it 50-50, but at least it's 50-50, it's not a wide, and the ball is still in play, and it forces people to make mistakes. It puts people under pressure and it makes them hurl. If you're good enough, you'll win the ball. If you're not, the forward will get that break and score. That's the difference at the minute.
Well, gentlemen, we'll talk a little bit more about this match in a moment, but already here this afternoon at Croke Park, we saw Kilkenny, as expected, qualify for the Leinster Hurling Final. That was after their win against Dublin. 4-13 to 2-10, the final score in that. A couple of late goals taking the look off the scoreboard, I suppose, in Dublin's case. Let's have a look at some of the key scores, indeed, from that match.
Adrian Ronan trying to whip this one in, saved by the goalkeeper, and DJ in quickly now. Eamon Morrissey, that's a goal! DJ Carey whipping on it. Canis Brennan chasing after it with Mick Morrissey. Kilkenny in control in most departments, and Eamon Morrissey might have had a goal the last time, got a point instead. This time he kicks it. They should play a bit more football in Kilkenny. McCann. Im Simpson, and now it's fed outside to Shane Cook. Great pass from John Toomey, and Cook drives it in home.
Yes, that was Kilkenny then qualifying for the Leinster Hurling Final. It wasn't a particularly brilliant performance from Kilkenny. We were talking about that a little bit earlier on, but then in fairness they were well ahead all through that match. I suppose it wasn't a day in which you were able to, or indeed needed to, fire yourself up fully. The Leinster Final will be a different affair, no doubt. Now, the two teams, of course, are in the dressing room at half-time. In fact, they're just about to emerge back out again for this second half. Kieran Barr, what will Liam Griffin be saying to those Wexford players at half-time?
I think, as Cyril said, it's a factor that the breeze will hold the ball up. But if I was him, I'd be saying, look, you're on top, you're winning possession, keep going at the backs and in midfield the way you are. But when you get possession, look for a forward. Either play it wide or play it low. Look for a forward in the second half, because that breeze, you're not going to be able to score from 50 yards. And if you're under pressure, just dump it inside and follow it. Chase it in, because the break might come out and you'll win it again. Now, they're not out of it. They're not out of it at all. It's a fine pitch. A bounce of a ball is not going to decide the match, and they must get stuck in up front and play that ball in low.
OK, just now we have an interview with Mick Kinsella. Tony O'Donoghue has been talking to him on the sideline.
Indeed, he's with me now, Michael, and you're making some changes for the second half, Mick.
Yeah, Adrian Fenlon is coming on at midfield, and Paul Finn is moving to wing forward, and Rory McCarthy is coming off. Larry O'Gorman is coming in left half back instead of Robert Hassey.
Well, you had to make those changes. You've only yourselves to blame for that first half performance.
We were very poor, about 12, maybe 13 wides as far as I can remember. Not enough direct hurling. If we don't start pulling on the ball, keeping it moving on the ground, we're not going to beat Offaly. We've an uphill battle from here.
What did you say to them at half time?
Well, exactly that.
You feel you still can do it?
If they don't, well, we have a mountain to climb, and hopefully we'll be able to climb that mountain. They're good enough, but they have to believe that they're good enough.
Okay, Mick, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Back to you, Michael.
That's Mick Kinsella accepting that Wexford need to change their tactics and change their general performance for this second half. Can they do it? Well, there's 35 minutes to find out. Let's go back again to our commentary team of Ger Canning, and he's up there in the commentary box at the moment.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. So 7 points between the teams, Offaly in front, and that's Larry O'Gorman who's come on. And as we mentioned the 7-point lead, we should also mention that Wexford have 7 wides more than Offaly, and that just about sums up what happened in that first half. So Wexford then with their 2 changes, the start of this second half. John O'Connor straight away into the thick of the action. Joe Dooley against Sean Flood. Good hand pass across there to Brendan Kelly, having the vision to pick out Daithí Regan. Adrian Fenlon attempting to close him down quickly, and that's gone wide. So just a 5th wide for Offaly. So the Wexford mentors there, Liam Griffin, Rory Kinsella and Seamus Barron, appreciating that they have that mountain to climb. Paul Finn dropped in there dangerously. Good save by David Hughes. Out towards Joe Dooley's corner. Sean Flood attempting to close him down. Liam Dunn inside, smartly inside. Shane McGucket slightly wrong-footed, did well. Through the legs of Brian Wheelahan. Pressure remains on the Offaly backs. And Johnny Pilkington gets away with that challenge. John O'Connor knocked over, free to Wexford, and there's an Offaly player on the ground. That's Brendan Kelly. This is what happened, 2 against 1, and that's where Michael Dignan put the elbow into the back. And the referee has decided to throw the ball in between George O'Connor and Michael Dignan, and George wins it. Adrian Fenlon failing to add to it. Tom Dempsey. And this Wexford team, they know they have a lot of quality in their side, but they've got to produce it. Billy Byrne just missing his shot, one-handed away there out of trouble. Back in by Sean Flood once again. Adrian Fenlon. Ball squirms away from Michael Dignan. Comes back to Johnny Pilkington. A little bit of uncertainty at the start of the half. John O'Connor. Johnny Dooley, one of the top players in the opening 35 minutes. John O'Connor in pursuit. Lobbed in. There's some holding in there. And Brendan Kelly certainly felt he was being well and truly held by Tomas Dunn. Johnny Pilkington. And a little clash there with Liam Dunn. It's been quite a battle between the two of them. That decision going Wexford's way. Paul Codd has gone back to corner forward. Larry O'Gorman's clearance picked up by Daithí Regan. This time much better read by John O'Connor. Kicking it downfield towards Liam Dunn. Johnny Pilkington with a broken stick, having to kick. Brian Wheelahan. Cross towards Johnny Dooley. Early stages of the second half. They follow it in this time, but it goes to the left and wide. So it's Offaly who've had the first couple of wides of the second half.
It'll be interesting, Jared, to see how the changes affect Wexford. You know, they'll be looking for more direct hurling in the second half, and Offaly seem to be creating a lot more space around the field, and they seem to be finding them in much easier than Wexford do.
I think, as our panel suggested at half-time, they're still very firmly in this match. Paul Finn bearing down on goal, winning the free. Chance for the first point of the second half here. The All-Ireland champions, of course, putting their title on the line here in this, their first defence. Wexford with a game behind them already against Westmeath, but not a fairly facile win. So Tom Dempsey's third point, first from a free. So the sunshine in that corner still in Damien Fitzhenry's eye, rather in David Hughes' eye. With the shadow of the stand creeping across Croke Park. Sean Flood, good ball down into space towards Larry Murphy, couldn't take it. Brian Wheelahan instead. And they're all after this one. Kevin Kinahan in a race with Larry Murphy. Let's see, hope we see the pyrotechnics in the second half. He's tripped, and that's a free from 20 metres out. Good bit of work by Larry Murphy from Clabone. Clabone, which is between New Ross and Enniscorthy. He got 2-2 in the first round, but it really was a facile win. So Tom Dempsey has another chance. Goes low this time. Well, surely he should have tried to tap that one over the bar so early in the half. Perhaps he just mishit it. Edwin Fenlon firing it in, stopped on the line by David Hughes. Good save by Hughes towards Johnny Dooley's corner. Michael Duignan trying to profit. It reaches the full forward Brendan Kelly. Back once again to Johnny Dooley. Into space, John Troy trying to fill that space. Two Offaly players bearing in and goal. One of them is Joe Dooley. Stopped on the line and it's followed in. Joe Dooley takes the credit. His initial shot stopped by Damien Fitzhenry. But happy, rejoicing Offaly fans see their side open up a sizable lead. It's 112 to 6 points. Well, how they've been able to take their chance. How Wexford have been frail in defence. A goal and a point then for Joe Dooley. This is the goal again, Tomas.
Yes, very sloppy mistake though at the start there before Joe Dooley got possession, you know, but it all goes back down to Tom Dempsey's three at the other end. Joe, realistically, they could have put 5 points between the game. Now they find themselves 9 points behind.
So a little bit of a misjudgment perhaps by Tom. Cruelly punished at the other end. But Offaly looking so lively. Full of enthusiasm with a big lead, and Michael Duignan chips in with another point. That's 3 for the day so far. They've got an added freshness in their step which is missing from the Wexford team. There's not an awful lot more that the Wexford mentors can do. They've had the half-time talk, they've made the 2 changes.
Yeah, it's interesting though, they put Larry O'Gorman over on top of Johnny Dooley, you know, and you must question whether Larry is fit enough at this stage to mark him. He obviously wasn't fit enough to start the match, and he's come in on the player that's been on top of his form at this stage.
Well, he's had this modern day injury, the hamstring, and he's been seen cycling around all parts of Wexford trying to do something about his fitness. Under normal circumstances, that's a very good half backline that Wexford's got. Sean Flood, George O'Connor and Larry O'Gorman. Well picked up here. Adrian Fenlon. They're certainly looking to for a big performance. And questions I'm sure may well be asked as to why he wasn't included in the first place. Kevin Martin retreats. Free to Wexford. Liam Dunn. I'm sure they're probably considering a goal or a point here. They'll have to take the point. Might have had one in the first half, except that Billy Byrne was standing in the square, so finally he's off the mark, and it's 113 to 7 points.
Yes, and they've put Liam back centre back, I think, to mark Michael Duignan at this stage, and they've moved George O'Connor into midfield.
John Troy is now full forward. Brendan Kelly is top of the right. And as you mentioned, Michael Dignan on the 40. Meanwhile, Joe Dooley, the goal scorer, over there challenging Sean Flood. Adrian Fenlon. Line ball going Wexford's way. Daithí Regan driving it back down defiantly towards Pat O'Connor's corner. Comes back to Liam Dunn. Well, no advantage accruing from that, and I think that's the sense of disappointment that Liam Dunn is feeling, as George O'Connor had gained an advantage. George now in midfield alongside Adrian Fenlon. Dunn's free. Deeply hit down towards Billy Byrne. George O'Connor trying to make it his. One-handed away by Martin Hannamy. Comes back out to Tom Dempsey. Dropped in dangerously. Rising up for it in there. And a goal! Billy Byrne, the goal scorer. That's exactly what Wexford need. They were crying out for that. 4 minutes after the Offaly goal, Wexford reply. There are 6 points between the teams, and that's very little in hurling. This deep ball pumped in here, uncertainty in the Offaly defence, and when it came back to Billy Byrne, he whipped on it and away to the corner past David Hughes. What will be the Offaly response to that? And can Wexford add to their tally? Appeals all around, and now you sense the crowd really coming to life, beginning to get into this match. And for Liam Griffin and his selectors, there's added hope.
Yes, Ger, as we said in the first half, you know, the one ball that went into Billy Byrne in the first half, he got a great chance, he got a great shot over the bar, and again in the second half, Wexford must be more direct and give Billy Byrne more chances inside the square. He's a big man and he looks very, very strong on the edge of the square.
Larry O'Gorman, great ball, down towards another Larry Murphy. Still with Larry Murphy. It's those chances, those little half chances, that are really killing Wexford right now. And Eamon Cregan is incensed behind there, very unhappy with his backs. Still the sunlight in the eyes of the selectors and substitutes. Well, he's a tall and tough taskmaster, Eamon Cregan. He made those changes very, very quickly inside the first 33 minutes. He certainly means business, and he wants the players likewise. In the middle of the field, it's won by Paul Finn, driving it forward for Wexford towards Larry Murphy. Larry there getting ahead of Shane McGuckin, getting more of the ball back towards 2 Wexford men. Paul Codd hooped, great defending. Johnny Pelkington back there, playing as if his life depended upon it. The indomitable spirit that is Offaly, so difficult to quench, but it's back with the other number 8, Liam Dunn, and he's driven it wide. When the inside forwards wanted a decent ball, he went for glory.
Yes, Wexford are killing themselves with those balls being going wide at this stage. But great defensive play there by Martin Hannamy when Larry Murphy was on his way through, got his hurley across and flicked the ball away from him. Could have saved a goal scoring chance.
Well, I think the selectors have decided they've had enough, and they're opting to bring in another forward. And it's Eamon Scallon who's about to come in, number 19. Scallon is a corner forward. So he's going in, and it seems to me that Paul Codd is the one who's being replaced. So Codd is off, Scallon is on. There had been great hopes in the past for Eamon Scallon and Larry Murphy as corner forwards. They played there in the league final of '93, and of course last year the Leinster final against today's opposition. Adrian Fenlon driving it in towards Billy Byrne. Back out again. Shane McGuckin was anticipating that might come back out to him. Good corner back play, and an injury to Brian Wheelahan. And Tom Dempsey the first to point out that he regarded it as an accidental blow. The incident again here, as Tom was coming across, made a connection with Brian Wheelahan. So some further information from the sideline from Tony O'Donoghue.
Well, I've just been talking to the Wexford bench. That's their last ace, of course, because they've got their 3 substitute used now, but they said there's only 2 scores in it. And as a comparison, they remember what Offaly did to Limerick in last year's All-Ireland final.
Just a little bit of concern about the well-being of Brian Wheelahan. There was a booking of Tom Dempsey for that. So Scallon is on. And the player who went off, of course, Paul Codd. I've always regarded Tom Dempsey as a very, very fair player. I think that was quite an accidental collision.
Yes, Gerard, total accident. And as Tony has said there, 6 points in the game. There's very little in the game of hurling. So Wexford are still in the game. Have taken up their performance just a little bit more.
There's 20 minutes to go. Who will face Kilkenny in this year's Leinster Final? Gary Cahill over there. Runs on towards George O'Connor. And they did a big 20 minutes now from George, and from Larry Murphy. He can get more of the ball and torment Shane McGuckin. Good hand pass forward from Martin Storey. Just 1 point to his credit so far. The hand pass outside again, then turned inside. Or perhaps the wrong option taken that time. Kevin Kinahan. Well, Eamon Scallon certainly had the chance there of making a very bright introduction into this match.
Good defensive play by Offaly, but certainly Wexford should have had the opportunity of putting the ball over the bar, and maybe taking the points at this stage would be a better option rather than go for goals.
Here's Eamon Scallon dodging inside. Look at the number of Offaly players there, 4 in all, and Martin Hannamy, the one I think who made that little intervention. David Hughes pucking it out. Gathered by Larry O'Gorman. No hint of an injury there. Blocked down wonderfully by Johnny Dooley. Trying to hold up the point of the attack there. Again, Johnny Dooley very wholeheartedly to Johnny Pilkington. And in this half, that same cohesion that Offaly illustrated in the first half isn't evident. And a lot of the balls out of midfield are being overhit. And there's a lack of quality ball going into John Troy and Brendan Kelly and Pat O'Connor. Brian Wheelahan, all eyes on the ball, getting it away from Tom Dempsey. This time a better delivery, putting the Wexford backs under some pressure. John O'Connor having a better second half. To Liam Dunn. Great drive out of defence. Just 6 points between the teams, or 2 goals. It can yet be anybody's match. Martin Hannamy knocking that one away from the danger zone, but it's gone for another 65. This a second 65 for Wexford. Martin Hannamy today playing in his 18th championship match. So he's a player rich in experience. Liam Dunn from Oulart the Bala in Wexford will be captain if they face Kilkenny, I believe, in a few weeks' time. Can they make it? That's gone over the bar. The gap is closing the whole time. A second point for Liam Dunn. 5 points the margin. Just remember what happened when Joel Dooley scored his goal after 6 minutes of the second half. Then it seemed to be all Offaly. But Wexford are really giving it a lash. Colm Keogh. That's going to be an Offaly ball, in spite of the best efforts of Colm Keogh from Bunclody. So now some questions to be asked of the Wexford defence. Michael Dignan across there to take it. On the 13-metre line, into the centre. George O'Connor there. Now they need a big clearance. Down towards Tom Dempsey, winning the race with Brian Wheelahan. But Wheelahan is a dogged performer. Look at the hard work here of Johnny Dooley. Not just a great forward, always prepared to defend as well whenever his side lose possession. Even on the opposing half-back line. The throw ball here. Well, they were really powerfully hitting that one. And the calmest one of the lot, Johnny Pilkington, mishits Tom Dempsey. Deep inside there. One back again here by Kevin Martin. Runs on well, but just carrying too much pace for John Troy.
Loud in, so what kind of a conference is that?
We'll be having a voice at it. That's what will matter to us. For centuries we haven't had a voice in North Mayo. Now we're able to represent ourselves, to participate. That will be the conference for us.
Sure, but the point being that other women and other issues are being excluded by the host country here. Does that concern you at all?
Well, all that would concern us. But at this point, we have to represent the women in North Mayo, that we are not excluded.
Now, are you going there specifically to talk about issues for North Mayo or for Irish rural women as a whole?
Irish rural women.
What are those issues? Quickly, Marion, tell us.
For so long, modernisation has been imposed on us from abroad. Our practical issues haven't been looked at. Our economic...
He's fortunate enough, in my view, to remain on. Wexford's free. The All-Ireland champions leading by 5 points. Facing a stirring challenge in the second half, however, by a more balanced Wexford team. But away comes Michael Duignan. Losing it to George O'Connor. Larry O'Gorman, the number 24, there standing over the action. We've had the referee throwing the ball in quite a bit in here in Croke Park this afternoon and early evening. Kevin Martin misses his first touch. That's enough to leave Martin Storey in, but closed down, beating the would-be blocks. How many chances have they had? Far too many is the answer, I think. 15 wides.
Martin Storey will be disappointed with his display today. He got some great opportunities to take some points, and again in a position like that, he maybe should have thrown the ball back to the defender behind him to put it over the bar.
Here's Dáithí Regan. Well, you ask yourself the question now: who is the fresher for the remaining 13 minutes and just a little bit? Damien Fitzhenry. Straight through the centre. Kevin Martin, the player, going over the shoulder of Martin Storey. Free for Liam Dunn to hit. Well, Dunn has managed 2 frees so far. This would put just 4 points between the teams. It's just outside the 45-metre line. Little or no breeze around. No excuses, none needed. And another point for Liam Dunn.
I think we're in for a grandstand finish, Ger.
Let's hope so.
But another interesting thing there from Offaly's point of view is they switched around their forward line an awful lot, you know, and where there's pure tiredness, and Dáithí Regan's gone in centre forward, John Troy has gone to full forward, who had such a big influence in the game in the first half at centre forward.
Well, we heard Eamon Cregan that their training had been interrupted by local championship matches. That's a factor, I suppose, in most counties. Brian Wheelahan trying to lead the way. And when you think of Offaly, you always think of their determination here in Croke Park. Rarely beaten and always capable of getting a last-minute goal or two. That will certainly keep the fans on the edges of their seats. Joe Dooley here. Great block down by Sean Flood. Still a bit of work to do. Johnny Pilkington getting it back to Joe Dooley. Good dispossession over there with Larry O'Gorman. Wexford there in some numbers. The pick up here by Adrian Fenlon towards Tom Dempsey, and he goes down. And I'm not for 1 minute suggesting it's tit for tat, but there's no booking on this occasion. Eamon Cregan onto the park.
No booking, Joe, but I think he gets 10 yards for back chat to the referee, so it brings it 10 yards forward for Wexford in a very scoreable position.
So once again it's going to be Liam Dunn who'll take it, as Tom Dempsey's okay. Just to update the figures, I think Liam may well have 4 points so far, and this will be a 5th. It remains at 4. And the gap stays at 4. 11 minutes left. Andy Gallagher there. Liam Griffin. Andy and Eamon having a quick chat. Just trying to see what possible further switches they can make. Offaly with just a goal and a point in the second half so far, having scored 12 points in the first half. Pat O'Connor racing across here to try and make it his. The substitute trying to go by John O'Connor, holds him back. Comes out towards George O'Connor. Rolling it up onto his stick. Then fouled from behind, there was a push. But George is much more comfortable having the latitude from midfield to go foraging in different directions. Been marked by Michael Dignan, who's been switched into midfield as an ally for Johnny Pilkington. John O'Connor to take it. Only a goal and a point, or 4 points between the teams. And this time there's a chop down by Tom Dempsey. To say the very least at this stage, there's a very keen competitive edge in that contest between Brian Wheelahan and Tom Dempsey. Johnny Dooley been told to bring it back a little bit. Wexford unhappy, I think, not just because of the distance but also the time wasting element. So far in this game, Johnny Dooley from Sir Kieran's has 5 points. That's going away to the right. One of his less impressive frees, but it was a fair old distance out. Damien Fitzhenry, no time to delay now. Martin Storey beaten for it. Instead it's Johnny Pilkington, really playing his heart out, up towards John Troy. Troy over there against Colm Keogh. Neatly taken back up here by Liam Dunn. Then running into stout defence, Dáithí Regan. And that ends up being a Wexford ball. Well, it's been a tough contest. Offaly the better team in the first half. Wexford have come back strongly in the second, but they had a 7-point gap to try and eat into. And the worst possible thing from their perspective was the concession of the goal to Joe Dooley after 6 minutes of the second half.
And as we said in the first half as well, Gerald, that Offaly might, or Wexford might rue all those missed chances in the first half, and it's certainly showing now.
Yes, 11 wides in that first half. Johnny Dooley linking up here with Michael Dignan, on for Dáithí Regan, anticipating that it would come his way. Hooked forward, on towards Joe Dooley once again, and one back by Liam Dunn. Down it goes towards Paul Finn, but he can't keep it in play. One of the great players in the 80s for Offaly, of course, was Joachim Kelly, now one of the selectors. Some further news from Tony O'Donoghue.
From the Offaly bench, Johnny Troy has been carrying a calf injury for the whole of the second half. They're really worried about him now because they left him in there. It was a bit of a risk. They're thinking of taking him out of the game.
Here's Johnny Dooley bearing down on goal towards Dáithí Regan. They must score here surely, and he's put it wide. They lead by 4 points, and there's still 7 minutes to go. It's going to be a nervy, edgy last 7 minutes. Towards George O'Connor, straight from the puck out. The hand pass to Larry Murphy. Down towards Billy Byrne. I'm sure he'll feel that he's been starved of possession. Gets it forward towards Tom Dempsey. Dempsey going through. Closed down initially. Back towards Billy Byrne once again. Kevin Kinahan coming out. And that's gone into the hands of Johnny Pilkington, one of the stars of this Offaly performance this evening. To Dáithí Regan. Going for glory. Drops into the hands of Damien Fitzhenry, who had a spell during the National League as a forward. Back between the posts this afternoon. Yes, a grandstand finish is certainly promised for the remaining 6 minutes.
Jerry, you'd have to question whether John Troy is fit enough to stay on the field, as Tony had said, and with just a couple of minutes left in the game at this stage, surely Offaly must bring in a sub.
Well, they've used up 2 of their substitute options so far in Pat O'Connor and Gary Cahill. It might well be that Declan Pilkington's going to come back in, and that indeed is what's going to happen. So it'll be John Troy to come off very shortly, presumably, and Declan Pilkington to have his second taste of the action. Here's Johnny Pilkington, forward for Joe Dooley, keeping the ball moving to the inside forward line. Dangerous one here, and it's just gone over the end line at the expense of a 65. Pat O'Connor was in there raiding. Here's that ball again. Difficult one for goalkeeper Damien Fitzhenry to contend with. And he had John O'Connor in there as well. The goalkeeper just touched it away to safety. So if at first you don't succeed, try again. Seems to be what Declan Pilkington has been told. So Pilkington's back in. And in fact, it seems that Brendan Kelly is the one that they're taking off. Ball has been floated in. It's stopped by Damien Fitzhenry. Yes, John Troy is still on the park. Brendan Kelly, the one who's been substituted. Now Johnny Dooley. And that's gone over the bar. Just the second point to go with the Joe Dooley goal that they've scored in the second half. 6 points for Johnny Dooley. It may not so much be the insurance point, as they say, as the assurance point. Now, what's the Wexford response to this? Once again, the referee fancying a throw ball. Johnny, the last scorer, of 1-14 to 1-9, 5 between them, 4 minutes left. And now you feel that Wexford are going to have to go for scores very, very quickly. Larry Murphy leaving that to Liam Dunn. So what does he do at this stage? Will he try and pump it over the bar? Will he try and lob it in? And the corner forwards have made enough of a gap perhaps for Billy Byrne to get this one. He's got it, but now struggling to turn against the powerful defence of Kevin Kinahan. Billy again, hand passed, intended for Tom Dempsey, won instead by David Hughes, and a great clearance under pressure. So even though Offaly have had their backs to the wall for much of the second half, on that trip there, producing another Wexford free, the trip on Larry Murphy, Wexford have just spurned far too many chances.
Be interesting again here, George, to see what Liam Dunn does on this stage.
And this time he's trying to knock it over the bar, trying to eat into the lead. I'll make it 5 points now for Liam Dunn. Out of that Wexford tally of 110, and they're 4 points behind. So are the All-Ireland champions to successfully negotiate the first hurdle in retaining the championship, first of all here in Leinster. Johnny Dooley, what a match he's had. Wonderful performance, slightly off balance as he hits this one in, and very close to the target. So Wexford now pursuing a goal, you can be certain. Adrian Fenlon inside. David Hughes, great save, under pressure. Thankfully the sun has gone down in that sector of the field. Otherwise it would have been a much more difficult one for him to take. But he showed a cool nerve with that clearance. Larry O'Gorman under it. Going back to assist the cornerback Tomas Dunn. Little uncertainty. Now Offaly sensing, I think, that they can put away this Wexford challenge in the last few minutes of this second half. A minute and a half to go. It's by no means been one of those epic hurling ties that we'd have loved to have seen. And that's gone wide off the stick of Daithí Regan. Offaly, who had the better of the first 35 minutes, Wexford the second 35 so far, 34 minutes. But they haven't been able to take their chances in the same way that Offaly were able to punish mistakes. Johnny Dooley inside towards Pat O'Connor. It's on for John Troy, and that's that. The All-Ireland champions are certain now of a place in the Leinster Final, unless Wexford can do an Offaly of last September. 2:14 to 1:10. He may have been dogged with injury, but he was there, perfectly positioned to apply the finish in the 35th minute. And once again a dash now in the collective step of these Offaly hurlers. Joe Dooley, wily campaigner. Johnny Pilkington, what a match he played. In perhaps to finish it off. And that's the goalkeeper conceding yet another 65, Damien Fitzhenry. Little he could do about the goals that beat him.
No, very little he could do. As I say, for a man that was carrying injury, it definitely was a great goal by John Troy. But he must give great credit to Johnny Dooley. I think he's had a terrific match there, and certainly he's been the difference between the two teams. He's free taking, he's challenging of defenders coming out with the ball. He's been brilliant. And again, it showed in the last goal there after he scored. He's shot through that actually gave John Troy the opportunity.
I think we also have to pay tribute to the fact that Offaly hurling is from a small corner in County Offaly, a little pocket there. They haven't a very strong panel. Good looking ball inside, causing problems. Again, Damien Fitzhenry does well. And the point, I suppose, that I'm trying to emphasise is that they were without this afternoon a number of key players. Billy Dooley was missing. And you think also about Hubert Rigney, one of those absentees from last year's All-Ireland Final. Has to be Johnny Dooley. I'm trying to get Johnny Pilkington as well. Or John Troy, yes. Whipped in here by Johnny Pilkington. Well, how disappointed the Wexford players will be, their mentors as well. But you think of the poor misfortunate Wexford fans who've endured defeat after defeat over the years. This latest one at the hands of the All-Ireland champions Offaly, who passed the test. A late goal by John Troy was enough to absolutely make certain of victory. There were some wonderful individual performances as well. And Johnny Dooley, the scorer of 6 points, certainly played his heart out and showed some of the Wexford forwards the way to do it. Wexford spurned so many chances. They had 16 wides against 14 for Offaly, and it finishes 2:14 to 1:10.
It was hardly a champion's performance from Offaly, was it? But nonetheless, it takes them back into the Leinster Final, where they will play the league winners Kilkenny, and that promises to be quite a match. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. We're back after that with analysis of what we've seen here today at Croke Park. We also have the man of the match from today's game, and also a roundup of the other GAA news of the day. So join us after that.
Ladies, discover wet shaving the feminine way with Lady Protector. So gentle because it's behind bars. It gives an unbeatably safe shave with silky smoothness and closeness the natural way. Lady Protector from Wilkinson Sword.
Power City announce a video price breakthrough. This remote control video recorder for only £165. We've a Teletext 20-inch big screen at £199, a Thaw deep freezer for £99, an Electrolux vacuum cleaner at £59, a Belling electric cooker at £199, and your choice of family fridge at £129.
We Americans have mastered the art of convenience, but those guys at Denny went one further. With Wafo's American-style ham, they matched convenience with quality. The finest ham and sliced wafer thin to melt in your mouth. Wafo's.
Denny tells me I'm into something good.
When you choose Dulux Weather Shield, your house will look good and stay protected year after year. There is no longer lasting exterior paint for moisture resistance and extreme temperature. And because of its UV protection, Dulux Weather Shield resists cracking, peeling and fading for longer. So with our Irish weather, no wonder most people choose Dulux Weather Shield. Dulux Weather Shield. Don't risk anything less.
Wake up in the morning, lots of hot water. Night saver electricity's been working all night. Oh, the Night Saver.
Have a Night Saver meter installed and wake up to the new economical way to cheaper hot water using less than half price electricity.
Oh, the Night Saver.
There's something special about the Cadbury taste. Something that makes it different. A glass and a half of full cream Irish milk in every half pound. And you can taste that difference in every bar. The choice is yours. The taste is Cadbury's.
Deliciously smooth Aero chocolate covered in mouth-wateringly cool ice cream. New Aero ice cream. Something cool is in the air.
Welcome back then to an empty in Croke Park, where the spectators here today have seen Kilkenny qualify for the Leinster Final, and just a few minutes ago Offaly seeing off the challenge of Wexford. We wondered what shape Offaly would reach this year's championship end. There was lots of talk of rumours and trouble in the camp and all that kind of stuff. Well, they've passed this particular test here today. Eamon Cregan, the Offaly manager, is with Tony O'Donoghue.
Eamon, you're through to the Leinster Final now, but you wouldn't have been altogether pleased with that performance, I imagine.
No, I know we won. The first half I thought we played well. What we were afraid of at half time is that we become a little bit complacent in the second half, playing with the wind. And then we scored a goal, I think, in 3 minutes into the second half. And I think at that stage we became complacent. Wexford rearranged their forces and they brought Joshua Connor to centre field, and it completely upset the shape of our side. And we never really coped with that. And for 20 minutes of the second half, Wexford came at us and at us and at us.
And you didn't score in that point?
I don't think we scored, no. And that's a reflection on our display. We weren't good in the second half. Wexford played very well, but they didn't score.
John Troy was injured even before half-time, I understand.
Yes, John damaged his calf just before half-time, but we decided we'd leave him on, hoping he would poach a goal. And fortunately in the last few minutes he poached that goal.
It was a strange sort of game overall. I don't think it ever came to life, really, did it?
Well, it's played at 6:15 at night, so the lads aren't used to that type of thing. I don't think Wexford are, and as you say, it never came to life.
Will you have to improve your performance against Kilkenny?
Oh yeah, Kilkenny are favourites, and going on their performances in the last 3 to 4 months, they're exceptionally good. Their full forward line is excellent, so we're going to have our hands full coping with that.
Eamon, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, as always, the forthright views of Eamon Cregan there. We're going to get the views now of our panellists who are watching that match. Kieran Barr, former Antrim and Dublin player, and Cyril Farrell, former Galway hurling manager. Kieran, repeating again, I suppose, the obvious point, but it never really did spark into life.
No, I don't think I wouldn't take as valid either the excuse that it's played in the evening to an extent, because I think a lot of club matches and tournament matches are played in the evening around the country. I think a lot of it can be put down to both from Kilkenny's performance today and Offaly's, that they're saving something possibly for later on, and that they haven't really got themselves in proper shape yet for championship. So what they've done is maybe had 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks of preparation, and they've said, yeah, well, that'll be good enough to beat whoever we come up against. And then they've got now 2-3 weeks of solid, constant hurling without any club commitments, without any interference, and the standard of hurling will increase 200% by the Leinster Final. And that's what Eamon Cregan probably thinks is a good idea, though. He's not going to tell anybody. He's going to say, yeah, it's been okay, but I'm going to have 3 weeks or 4 weeks of these guys solid, and away we go for a Leinster Final.
The evening throw-in, in actual fact, might even have been a help in a way, Cyril, because it was very warm here earlier on. Offaly were just wanted to get over this game against Wexford. They were afraid going into this match that Wexford might take them. That was a factor, surely.
Yeah, it was. Like, Offaly would be afraid. Like, Wexford on a given day can blow hot or cold. Now, they missed a terrible lot of scores, and that made it kind of that little bit easy for Offaly. And I would think Eamon, even though he'd be kind of saying they didn't play that well or not, he'd be very happy this evening. Because, like, he had, say, going into the game, everything wasn't as smooth as he'd like it. And they have won. It's lovely to have a team get into a final, not really playing brilliant, and they will improve. But the big thing about Offaly again was the economy of their, okay, they had wides, but usually when they get a chance to score, they'd have it, that score. And Johnny Dooley, like, is something else. Any chance he got, he was thereabouts with them. And, like, you know, Troy was injured, but yet when the ball came, he actually made Joe Dooley's goal, like a lovely little flick. Joe got a blocked shot and tipped it in, and then he got another great one again. Not many forwards would be that good on the ground, and Eamon was right, like, to leave him on. Made one or two very interesting switches well that worked. They moved Kevin Martin in centre back, moved Brian Whelan wing back, and also the switches at half time from Wexford, they worked as well. Like Finland coming on midfield, George going out midfield, Liam Dunn going back centre back. They all worked, and you'd wonder maybe how come it wasn't at the very start. Like, they were definitely a better team in the second half.
Sure. Kieran, let's take a look at that first Offaly goal, because in fairness they actually needed this, because Wexford were hanging in and probably playing better hurling at that stage.
They were, and this effectively gave, as Eamon Cregan said, it put them with this should have been a score, and Tom Dempsey went for a goal rather than a point, and the ball's cleared down the field. And there's a number of mistakes from Wexford players once the ball comes back down the pitch again, that they actually should have cleared the ball and their first touch. But the backs are going to be saying to themselves, well, why the hell didn't Tom Dempsey put the ball over the bar and relieve us of all the pressure? I think Johnny Dooley gets the ball here, and it's his ball in that goes to a Wexford back actually, and a Wexford guy gets first to the ball, and it should have won it there, but loses it. And Troy just nice flick inside, and it's next thing you know, it's in the back of the net. Now the keeper did very well.
Good save, but just went out of his hand. Yeah.
But as you can see, from one mistake all the way down to the end of the pitch, and you've got pressure on at one end, and you should have taken a score. And next thing you're down, and your defender has to go and win a ball because Offaly have used their head and played it in front of the target and kept the pressure on. One simple mistake, and it's in the back of the net. That's really the difference between the two teams, and all it comes down to is 5 seconds of hurling.
Let's take a look, Cyril, at the Wexford goal, because this sort of brought them back into it, where in fairness there was a distance now beginning to creep into it on the scoreboard at this stage.
Yeah, they're really into this goal, and Billy Byrne, even in the first half, the ball was going past him, but once he was very dangerous. This ball goes in high, and Billy actually catches the ball. Now he lets it drop and he flicks it out to the side. A good tussle for it here, he has it, let it out to the side. It comes back in across here, and left-handed, equipped to the top of the net. Billy would have two sides, he'd be actually stronger on his right and his left, but it was a great goal and brought Wexford back in, and at that stage you expect them to really come into the game, which they did, but they still missed simple chances.
Well, then of course Offaly scored another goal after that was to prove the clincher in at the end. From what we've seen today, Kilkenny won impressively, I suppose, in the score, but didn't play great. Offaly have won and again didn't play great. What do you make of the final?
It'll be a very good final, like two teams that know each other very well, and they're going to be concentrating purely on that. And I'd say their supporters and everybody else will be saying whoever wins that match will win the All-Ireland. I don't agree with that, because there's a lot more hurling in this summer, but having said that, those two teams are going to be looking at that and not beyond it. They'll be saying to themselves, this is the crucial game of the summer for both camps. Obviously it is because it's championship, but they'll be saying if we can win this and get a healthy 15 out, away we go.
Cyril, your view?
Yeah, I would think, Michael, since last year Kilkenny have been waiting for this game, and you know, they won the league final. Talking to Ollie Welch afterwards, it was lovely to win, but he wasn't a bit interested really. He wanted to beat Laois, then he wanted to beat Dublin. Now he has the match that he wants, and they're waiting all year. So psychologically, it's the ball is in Kilkenny's camp, and I would think that they will be slight favourites. But it's going to take a heck of a team to beat Offaly, because Wexford, like, you know, if Offaly were to beat today, it's going to be very, very hard to beat them, because they will improve a ton in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, well that's a match for another day. Obviously that Leinster Final, there's been several matches on today around the country in both hurling and football. Let's take a little look at the results of what exactly has been played around the country on a day that has again produced 1 or 2 shocks, well certainly one anyway, this in the Ulster Football Championship. Let's have a look at the results if we have them to hand. The match in Ulster, by the way, that I'm mentioning is the game, of course, between Derry and Tyrone. Talk to you about that in a moment. First of all, Laois against Carlow. Well, this is the replay of last week's match, of course. Well, this time there was no doubt about it, and the crucial score in that came in the second half, a goal for Laois by Michael Lawler, 21 minutes into the second half. But it had been close again all through between the two sides. Kerry 7-12, Tipperary 1-13. Tipperary had some hopes of putting up a good performance in Kerry, but that was not to be. 5 early goals in that match was really the difference between the sides. Cork 17, Clare 11 points. Again, Clare had gone down to Cork, confident enough that they might pull a result out of that one, but Cork, well, they are coming back to some kind of form like they had a few years ago again, and winning that one to set up a traditional Munster football final, I suppose. Tyrone 11 points, Derry 10 points, and the favourites, I suppose, in the football championship are gone. Tyrone, Monaghan, Cavan now left in the Ulster Championship, and Mayo beating Roscommon at 2-11 to 1-10, and that now means, of course, that it's a Mayo-Galway football final in the West. Offaly 2-14, Wexford 1-10, confirmation of that, and Kilkenny's score against Dublin 4-13 to 2-10. And the earlier game played today here at Croke Park, the All-Ireland Hurling Beat Championship, and there's the result of it down at the bottom down there. Let's go back again to Kieran Barr for one more item to be tidied up from that Offaly-Wexford match. Kieran, your choice of the man of the match.
Difficult enough, because I think overall the standard of playing the forwards on both sides to a degree was not 100%. I think Johnny Dooley, who I've selected as man of the match, did stand out. His striking was good, his general play was good, and his work rate was high. And I think if there's an old story with Wexford, if they had one forward who was on song like Johnny Dooley today, it might have been a completely different story.
Well, congratulations to Johnny Dooley. And by the way, Johnny Dooley receives, like all of our man of the match winners on the Sunday game, a gold watch. So well done indeed to Johnny. Another big performance for him at Croke Park, wasn't it? He seems to be his favourite place on earth. OK, now just to go back again to some of the matches that we have been talking about, and a look at the game between Clare and Cork in the Munster Football Championship, where Marty Morrissey was the commentator.
Referee Tom Howard from Kildare throws up the ball for this Munster Championship semi-final. It doesn't matter which way you play this afternoon in Cork, because it's absolutely roasting hot and no breeze. This is Odin O'Dwyer taking a shot, and that's over the bar. That's exactly what the better county needed. Aidan Maloney giving it low. Back to the centre half forward, Colm Clancy. His battle with Stephen O'Brien will be crucial. This is Ger Keane, one of Kilkee's brightest stars, to Michael Himes, who takes a shot, and that's a second point. What a start by the better county. On to Pádraig O'Mahony. This is more like it from Cork now. He's going straight through, takes a shot, and he puts it over the bar. A very good score by Pádraig O'Mahony. Again, the ball is pumped in low to Kavanagh. Back to Stephen O'Brien. Still Stephen O'Brien. Going straight through, taking a shot, and it's over the bar. Mark O'Sullivan. Back outside to Stephen O'Brien. To Stephen Cameron. And Stephen this time puts it over the bar.
Yes, Marty Morrissey reporting there on Cork's win over Clare in the Munster Football Championship, and you can see more of that game tomorrow night in the game on Monday. Now, again, reflecting back on the other match in Munster today, that between Kerry and Tipperary, and what proved out to be, well, I suppose a good day for Kerry, but not a very nice one for Tipperary if you were a Tip supporter down there today. Again, we're going to look at some of the crucial scores from that match. As I said, 5 early goals for Kerry in this, and their manager, the Tipperary manager, Seamus McCarthy, as I said earlier, had good hopes of a result down there today in Kerry, but well, sometimes things just do not go the way you plan. And the first goal for Kerry went to Bingo Driscoll. And here it comes through. A good break through the Tipperary defence, and a nice finish. Maurice Fitzgerald then got the second and indeed the third goals for Kerry, and both of those came in a very short space of time. You saw the first one going through there, and Maurice Fitzgerald was again the target man, as I said, there was almost from the kick out there. So it was 3 goals at this stage for Kerry, and unfortunately for Tipperary there was more to come. John Crowley got Kerry's 4th goal, despite the bravest efforts of the goalkeeper there. So that's the full-time result in that particular match. All right then, let's move down to O'Moore Park in Portlaoise and have a look at the crucial score in the game there between Laois and Carlow. As I said, this was a replay of last week's very controversial match. The winning score there came from Michael Lawler in the 21st minute of the second half, a goal. They were level at half-time, 7 points each. That settled the issue. And onwards we go, and we take a brief look over to the west, and this time Mayo against Roscommon. It was hard to know going into this match who might prove to be the eventual winners. There was reports of both camps alternatively going well or going badly. Well, it turned out to be Mayo's day, and indeed a fabulous performance at midfield by the Mayo midfielders there. And here again a look at some of the crucial scores from that match. Final result in that, Mayo 2-11, Roscommon 1-10. Great performance there, by the way, as I said, at midfield by the Mayo midfielder Pat Fallon. at 6'5", what a towering influence he was on that match today. OK, that's about it then from Croke Park for this evening. A reminder again about the game on Monday, tomorrow night, in which you can see a full roundup of all of the action that's been taking place. And there's a full list of exactly what's on the programme tomorrow. Network 2 at 9 o'clock, and you'll be able to join Micheál O'Murray-Herthy. So then we take our leave from Croke Park, but we do so reflecting not so much on the games played here today, but the shock result in Gaelic games today. Tyrone's victory by a single point over Derry in the Football Championship. From all of us on the Sunday Game for this week, bye-bye.
Finding it easier to find white jerseys at the moment. Paul Devlin. Well kept in by Lone. Lone forced to go to Lone. Gives it back to Gormley. Gormley has a chance. And Tyrone go into the lead. Damien Cassidy. Eamon Burns. Will this be an equaliser? Burns taps it into the chest of Finbar McConnell. Just a little bit of inexperience. And Derry's hopes certainly seem to be disappearing. The game is over. The first Ulster Semi Final has been decided. The 13 men of Tyrone have overcome the challenge of Derry.